A phenomenon of synthetic cognition has recently been postulated and widely studied in various AI research projects: neuronal polysemy. Neuronal polysemy is the fact that a single artificial neuron reacts to several very different categories of thought. An artificial neuron is therefore not semantically unified. It encodes several distinct categories of thought. For example, human being, B, industrialization. In current studies, this neuronal polysemy is often explained by a principle of superposition. A synthetic category of thought is encoded not by one neuron, but by several. In other words, a category of thought 1, human being here, would correspond to a certain distribution of activation values across the neurons in a layer, whereas another category of thought 2, B here, would correspond to another distribution of activation values across those same neurons in that same layer. On the basis of the results of a study we have just published, we propose another explanation for neuronal polysemy. A neuron in layer N can be interpreted as a semantic space composed of several categorical subdimensions. Each of these categorical subdimensions is extracted, that is, cut out, from one of its precursor neurons in layer N-1. Let us take the example of a neuron in layer N, whose semantic space comprises the following three categorical subdimensions extracted from its precursor neurons: the subdimension red, the subdimension round, and the subdimension edible. Certain expressions concern a single subdimension of this neuronal semantic space. The expression red brick is linked solely to the subdimension red, not to the other subdimensions round and edible. Likewise, the expression black suitcase wheel relates only to the subdimension round. Finally, the word banana is associated solely with the categorical subdimension edible. Other terms jointly mobilize two categorical subdimensions, but not the third. For example, the expression red Christmas bauble has high coordinates on the subdimensions red and round, while strawberry has high coordinates only for the subdimensions red and edible, and the term donut lies at the strong extremities of round and edible. Through these examples, we clearly see the polysemy of a given artificial neuron, which refers to categories of thought that are very different and relatively watertight from a semantic standpoint. This phenomenon reflects a categorical divergence within a synthetic neuron. It is activated for a limited, not infinite, series of specific words, namely those directly linked semantically to one or another of the categorical subdimensions constituting the semantic space peculiar to that neuron. The examples above concern words or expressions that moderately activate a neuron. But what happens with words or expressions that strongly activate a neuron? In this specific case, two very particular phenomena appear. Firstly, these terms simultaneously have high coordinates on all the categorical subdimensions of that neuron. Secondly, these terms are very close semantically, and they are far fewer. Such is the case, in our previous illustration, of the word tomato and the different tomato varieties such as beefsteak, black Crimea, and marmonder. Why such semantic homogeneity? The answer is simple and intuitive. At the intersection of several categorical subdimensions, the possible semantic space shrinks considerably, and only certain specific words belonging to this reduced space can exist. These words then mechanically form a semantically homogeneous subcategory of thought. For words with very high activations, we see a phenomenon not of polysemy and semantic divergence, but of monosemy and semantic convergence. Why, though, does this semantic convergence occur only for words that strongly activate a neuron? The reason lies in categorical phasing. The aggregation function of a synthetic neuron, that is, the mathematical formula that governs the neuron's operation, contains a mathematical operator, here an addition that causes accumulation, such that the more a word is linked to different categorical subdimensions, the more strongly that word is activated. As noted, a synthetic neuron is not totally polysemous. It is polysemous only for the words that activate it moderately. Conversely, it becomes monosemous for the words that activate it strongly, thereby denoting a new, homogeneous subcategory of thought. The semantic space specific to a neuron, composed, as we propose here, of the categorical subdimensions that the neuron has extracted from its precursor neurons, is semantically structured, organized by the neuron's activation values in response to the words it receives. Confronted with words producing moderately high activation values, these values do not allow those words to be semantically distinguished within the neuron. Words associated with such values may be semantically very different. This is neuronal polysemy. However, confronted with words producing very high activation values, these values delineate a new, precise, homogeneous semantic zone. This is neuronal monosemy. In other words, the activation value within a neuron enables a process of intraneuronal attention, allowing the neuron to construct a particular subcategory that it is made to detect or construct. From this new singular subcategory of thought, the next neuronal layer will extract an even finer categorical subdimension. Layer after layer, therefore, an artificial neural network fashions increasingly refined categories of thought, serving the efficient processing of the tasks for which it has been trained. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of synthetic thought in artificial intelligence. You can find the article mentioned in the video, as well as all the work from Neocognition Lab, on neocognition.org. See you soon for a new video.